Welcome back to FastGadgets. Today we're going to have a look at the LXQt Spin of Fedora 26 and see what the differences are when compared to the normal Fedora 26 Spin. Now, for those of you who don't know what a spin is, basically when a distro releases their distribution, they have a primary spin that they create. And if you were to go directly to Fedora project, you would see three essential types of spins that you could get. One was called a workstation, one's a server, and one's atomic. And of course, these are based on Fedora 26 right now. So if you were to download the Fedora workstation, you would actually get the official spin, which is using GNOME 3x. And you can of course add other desktops in the future, but the spin we're looking at right now, the one that's on the screen, is actually the Fedora 26 LXQt Spin. Now there are other spins that you can have a look at if you're curious. We have the KDE Plasma Desktop spin. We have another spin based on the XFCE desktop. And again, the XFCE desktop is pretty lightweight. And we also have the LXQt desktop, and this is the one we're taking a look at today and that we're actually in right now. You can also have a look at the Mate is the way it's usually pronounced. Some people just call it Mate. So the Monte Compiz desktop is another one you can look at. And the Cinnamon desktop, LXDE. So these are using the same desktop experience, LXDE and the LXQt, but the LXQt is kind of a literally a spin-off, if you will, of this particular spin. So you can use either one. And then this one, which looks really unique, I haven't tried. I think it's pronounced SOS desktop. So I've never seen this style of desktop before. I've never used it, so it's something I might look into in the future if you are curious about it. They talk about what the spins are. So again, the default desktop environment, the one you see me using most, which is what I have. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I do have GNOME as the ISO that I downloaded, the spin, but I do add in KDE Desktop because I use a lot of KDE apps. Now, one of my viewers suggested checking out the LXQt Spin, which brings us here today, and it definitely is a very different animal. The first thing you might notice is that our web browser here is not Firefox. This is actually a browser based on the open source Chromium code, and I believe it's called Cupzilla. It's QUPzilla. So let's see if we can get some information about this particular browser. So we'll do about Cupzilla. It is saying Mozilla 5.0, which surprises me because I heard it was Chromium based. So of course it does basically list everything. Anyway, that's what I had read, is that Cupzilla is actually based on the Chromium browser. Let's go to the main page and see if we can find something about it. We'll click on About. And if I do a Control-Shift++, I can zoom it up. So it looks like that information about Chromium was actually misinformation, because what I'm seeing here is that it's built using the Qt web engine. And it was originally started for educational purposes, but later on it became an actual production browser that has several of the usual features that we expect from our web browser. It's a curious choice. Now, to me it has somewhat of a very unpolished look, but I will say whenever I load web pages it's extremely fast. So let's load one I haven't loaded. We're going to go to news.com. Now this page is very, very busy, so it actually loaded relatively fast, so I'm somewhat impressed. And honestly, it seems to work pretty good, so I would give it props for being a little bit faster than Firefox. However, I have a lot of plugins in my Firefox, so it's possible those are slowing it down. I've also read that by default it has an ad block plugin, so apparently it does support some plugins. Let's see if we can find anything about that. Preferences, view, history, bookmarks, tools. So ad block is built in. Let's have a look at it, see what it looks like. Pretty basic. It looks like it's actually a part of the browser itself, so it was built with the browser. It's not any of the popular ad block plugins that you can get with Firefox. So not overly attractive, but the browser actually does work pretty well. It's pretty fast. I'm going to say no to that. And I think I will minimize the browser. So you can see if I go back to the browser here, we have the usual buttons. We have minimize, we have maximize, and we have close, which at this point it's asking me because I have multiple tabs open, so that's the default behavior, which is desirable until you get used to the browser, but I can minimize here. So down here on the toolbar, I have access to my network connections. Let's see what we get when we look at this. Not sure what this is doing here. I'm going to right click and see if I can actually do, yes I can. So I can do edit connections right here, and I can edit this connection. And it has pretty straightforward settings. Right now, of course, I'm on DHCP. So I don't have to enter any particular IP information. And I can close that. So I do have a way to get to my network settings. And there is a clipboard tool here. Whoops, I don't want that. Q-tipper? I can't actually read it. And I guess I can get battery info as well, which is a good thing. And I'm fully charged. And I don't have any devices that I need to remove, but I do like that it's always present, unlike a certain Windows operating system where you have to go digging for it. And of course I have speaker volume, and I'm guessing that if I right click it, I can get I was thinking I would get a whole mixer panel. At any rate, and I have the clock, which shows me the date when I click it. If I right click it, I can configure date and time. I can move this anywhere I want it on this particular panel. And what do we have here in the end? Show desktop. So I'm thinking if I have an app open and I click this button, yeah, kind of Windows-like, where I can actually show the desktop, which I do like. That's very useful. Now it also comes with, I don't know if you can see this, 2 desktops by default. So I'm going to switch to number 1, bring up Cupzilla or Cupzilla. I really don't know how to pronounce that. And then I'm going to switch to my number 2 desktop. I really like that we have 2 desktops right from the start. I probably can easily add another. I can configure the desktop switcher. Let's see if that'll let me add one. Appearance, number of rows, desktop names, desktop labels. I don't know if I can add another one. I would think I could. But right off the gate, by default, I've got 2 desktops. I really like that. I love my virtual desktops in Linux. That's one of the best features in my opinion, and I use that quite frequently. We are supposed to be able to drop application icons there, so let's find out if we can. Let's cruise to internet, and we'll go down to Cupzilla, and I'm going to drop. So I can. So now I have a Cupzilla icon. That's going to be one that I'm going to use frequently. Administration. No, let's go to System Tools. You know which one I always like. In this case, it's Qt Terminal. So I'm going to drop it in here so I can open my terminal. I'll do Control-Shift++ to make the text a little bit larger. And can I actually, there we go. So if I wanted to, I could become sudo, and I know a lot of people complain about this. I could do DNF install at, I think it's KDE. We'll find out. If I'm wrong, it'll just say so. Nope, I was right. Okay, so I could install the entire KDE desktop. I'm not going to do that right now. So we're looking at 962 megabytes installed, so almost a gig of data, so that's a lot of work. And the whole idea with the LXQt is to be very lightweight, and of course KDE is definitely not lightweight. For those of you who know me well, you know I usually use the command line. I'm just going to leave that up for right now. There is another tool here which I haven't experimented with yet called DNF Dragora, and we've got a couple of options here. If I can get that back, we can go and do an updater, or we can run DNF Dragora, and I think I can install applications straight from here. So this is kind of like the software apper that's in KDE, or the software updates and applications in GNOME. So quite a lot of stuff here. Basically all the packages that you can get. And it's showing all that could be updated. We can also see the packages that are installed, which I think is pretty cool. And if I make this a little bit larger here, I was thinking I could make this pane here larger, but apparently I can't. So that's installed. Let's see, not installed. Looks like it's taking a while there. And what is this? What can we do? Groups. Let's do groups. Let's see if that helps at all. I'm not sure if it did anything when I said, maybe I've got to click search. I'll click search. I'm really not searching for anything though. So apparently groups didn't really make any change. Now the big question is, can I go back to update? I think it's still trying to do groups. It is. Okay, so now it looks like we have groups to update. So I could click on a group, theoretically, right, and find out what I need to update. I guess there'd have to be something in there that needs an update for it to show up. Yeah, like that. So there's 2 updates. Let's go back to not installed and cruise over to applications. It really should be grouped by default. I don't know, that's just my opinion. And graphical internet, let's click on that and see what we've got. Wonder if Firefox is available here. I'm sure it is. Yep, right there. I'm not going to install it because I really don't feel like I need it right now, because I already have a browser that's working just fine. One thing I do like about Firefox is I actually created my identification, my ID, so that I could get all of my settings and my plugins and my bookmarks and all that stuff on any system that I'm using, including my phone, which I really like. So if I click this, what do I get? I get apply. So it wants to know if I want to apply this. I'm going to go ahead and do it. We're going to see how well this thing works. Total size 89 megabytes. Alright, so it's asking to use DNF to do a modification, so I got to put in the root password. Hope I typed that right. I don't think I typed that right. Wow, so when I didn't type it right, it just kind of crashes. Oh well. We're going to try it again anyway. And if I just type in Firefox, do a search, many people complain that oh, I'm in to update. That's not going to work out. We got to do all. Then we do a search. Many people complain that I use the command line version of DNF too much, but you can see why. So here I am, right? DNF install Firefox. And in 2 seconds I would be done. I'll say no there because we want to test it here. So I did do the Firefox search, and okay, there it is, finally. And I'm going to click this option. And this is not a complaint on DNF Dragora. It's just all the GUIs are like this, and I personally like using the command line. Go ahead and do it. I'm going to try to type the password right. Okay. Pretty sure I got the password right. Okay, so it's downloading 2 packages. Alright, it looks like it's got the web browser installed. Firefox, let's have a quick look. I'm assuming it's going to be an internet, and it is. It's odd that there's no icon. Let's try and launch it. And it launches fine. Now you can see scaling. Scaling is a real issue here, at least with Firefox, so I don't think it uses the Qt environment, so it's not scaling very well when you compare it to our other web browser, where you can see the text is scaled. And I've actually increased the font size on this text so that I can see it much more clearly. So I'm going to close Firefox. Yep, go ahead and close my tabs. And let's go back here again, and let's just look at what we've got. So here are the accessories, many of the usual accessories. I guess when I was thinking this was Q-tipper with the Q and the lipper, it sounds like it's simply clipper. So I definitely mispronounced that. In administration, we have date and time, DNF Dragora, the Dragora updater, which looks like it would work pretty good. You can't see because of that updates pop up. We have a firewall and users and groups that we can make adjustments to. Graphics has LX image and screenshot. I've only got a couple of photos on here. Let's go back to graphics and hit LX image. So it's just a plain image viewer. Oops, didn't want to do that. We're going to do open directory, mark. Guess I'm already here, right? Pictures. That's odd because I do have some photos in there. Let's do star. Directory not found, huh? Well, whatever. Let's do this. System tools. I wonder where a browser is for my directories. It might be so lightweight that it doesn't have one. A lot of preference settings that you can go in and do. I went into, I think I started with appearance, and I went to font, and I've made the font size a little bit bigger. I changed the resolution, but it really didn't seem to have any change. So I changed the font size to make all my fonts bigger so I could actually read them. So LXQt is not really good at scaling for high resolution or high DPI displays, just so you know. And I think I went into customize look and feel. And let's see. Did I do any setting changes here? No, I did not. We'll go back to preferences again. I don't think I did anything with monitor settings or desktop notifications. Now the current screensaver is just a blank, so it just blanks it out. And it doesn't look like there's any other screensavers installed. And it's just the basic X screensaver program, so no other screensavers currently installed. I guess I'm really surprised that there's no file or directory GUI browser, not that I can see. Wait. Wow, I'm silly. PCMan FM File Manager. There we go. Let's cruise over into pictures. Yeah, see, I've got pictures here. Now, if I double click it, image viewer. So when I browse to my pictures directory, image viewer would not show me that I could open these. Manhattan cityscape. So I'm going to grab that tool. I'm going to go over to accessories, PC manager, and I'm going to bring it right down here and add it to my group, because those are three tools that I would use quite often, I think. Now, there is no Office products installed. So I would have to go back here. I wonder if I click send to desktop 2. Alright, let's cruise over to desktop 2. Yeah, that's cool. And if I wanted to, I could go full screen on this, and I can click back and forth on my desktops. Very responsive. It is a very responsive spin, that's for sure. And I want to go back to groups, and let's see if we have, well, they have applications. We'll open applications. Let's try a bigger package and see how long it takes. LibreOffice. So it's still showing me Firefox here. And again, this is the problem I have with these types of installers. Boom, I would have it installed. So that's why I don't like the GUI installers. They're just kind of irritating. Now this should flip me over to screen 2, and it does. And still it's not showing anything here. And we know it's available. There we go, finally. And that took quite a while, so I'm not prone to wanting to wait. And then I've got to decide what package types I want to install, because I definitely don't need the 686, so I've got to go through and select manually the ones I want. Whereas here, it automatically selects for me the x86, 64, and any compatible packages that needed to be added on as the no arch packages that are not 32 or 64-bit dependent, so they can work with either one. So this is an okay tool if you don't mind waiting a long time and having to manually do selections. So I would have to go through and do this stuff. And I can't even apply it yet. Still grayed out. So that's my big beef with that type of stuff, the GUI installers. Browser looks good. File management is basic but workable. See if I can enlarge that. Yes, I can. I can probably move this over. Yep. Can I change the view? I personally like detailed view, sorting, view, detailed list. This is the one I personally like. Would this become my default? Let's go to Mark. No, it wouldn't. Let's go back to View, Detailed List. So I can preserve settings for this folder, but I actually want to preserve settings for everything. Go back to Mark. Tool. How about preferences? Let's check out preferences. Display. User interface. Advanced. Default view mode. I always go past stuff. It's like I'm going too fast. Detailed view. So now if I cruise over to computer, I get the detailed view. Okay, that's cool. I can live with that. Network. Not a lot going on the network. Devices, bookmarks, no bookmarks yet. Go back to Mark. No music yet. Alright, what else do we got? So internet, I did install Firefox. I actually like Cupzilla better because of its proper scaling of the display. And Office I have not installed. I do have some type of viewer. It looks like a PDF viewer, but I have not installed OpenOffice yet. Sound and video, looks like we have Dragon Player. I don't actually have any videos on this Spin yet. Yarok is the music player, and Pulse Audio to control audio. So no ALSA, it looks like. I do like how lightweight everything is. Like, I can find things really quickly. Test, and you can see the microphones working. Very cool. Let's see. System tools, some release notes, of course the terminal, and the preferences we looked at. About really isn't much. It just gives information about this particular LXQt version, who made the spin, contributors, thank yous, translations, and we can always get more information at lxqt.org. And if we want to leave really quick, you can just get right to your different settings to leave. We can lock the screen quickly, which is pretty neat. I wonder if there's I can create a keyboard shortcut for that lock screen. We can do a search for something. So if I put in terminal, it takes me right down to administration, and there's my terminal. Now this one's peculiar. This is, I want to go back to terminal. I want to show you that. I don't really get it. Okay, so I still have my search in there. I got to erase. Go to administration. I'm sorry, system tools. Qt terminal drop down. I don't think I really understand this because it's basically the terminal. Look at the terminal I have here. So I've got everything on the drop down except for the bar here, and the minute I leave it, it disappears. I'm not sure how I would make use of that. I guess it would be like for something quick. Sudo DNF list. So I'm just doing something quickly. But what if I was right in the middle of something and I clicked on something else? Would it actually stop the command? Let's run watch ls. Okay, so we've got something running. I'm going to click over here. Boom, it kills it. Nothing from who. So I don't know if I like that drop down feature very much, because it's for something really quick. I don't think I would ever use that. So all the basics are here. I'm sure I could install all my applications. The big one I would want to check is Kdenlive. Just so you know, the installation, by the way, I didn't mention, the installation is exactly the same as it is with the default Fedora spin. So if you are interested in this, it's really just the same, nothing different. So when you come in and do that installation, it's by the book, so to speak. So if you're used to the Fedora 20X installs, you pretty much know how the install is going to go. So we do have a couple of different settings here. We can make the mouse faster or slower. We have some keyboard refinements we can make. Overall, I would say this is a very interesting distribution, and well, spin I should say, and definitely something I'm going to come and look at. So we do have some power management here. When power is low, lock screen, suspend, hibernate, shut down, lid, enable lid watcher on battery, suspend I probably would do. I'm surprised it's set automatically for do nothing. And then you got in an AC, you can have it do nothing. Idle time, when idle, suspend. Pretty cool. Some basic battery functionality here. I think you probably wonder what this means. Level. Preview built in. I'm not exactly sure what that means. What levels are we looking at here? And you know, what were my defaults? Reset. So it doesn't reset this to default. I have no idea. Plus, minus. Tell me that isn't strange to you. What happens if I disable the battery watcher? That all grays out as well. Not 100% sure what that means. And I don't see any help. Anyway, we do have some power management settings here. What else we got in preferences? Screensaver, session settings, shortcut keys. So I can create some shortcut keys, or there may already be some that are created. Yep, so there are quite a few actually, and I can add more if I want. And we have quite a few desktop switches, so apparently I can add more desktops. I just have to figure out how to do it. All right. Anything else in preferences worth talking about? LXQt Configuration Center. Alright, this we haven't seen. Appearance, brightness, desktop, notifications. It's basically all those settings we just looked at. Power management, firewall, users and groups, DNF, Dragora updater. Yeah, these are all the tools we just looked at, just in a different way of displaying it. Alright, well that is Fedora 26 LXQt Spin. Hopefully you found this interesting. I think this spin is definitely worth looking at, and it seems to be very lightweight and very responsive, so I'm impressed with that. If you'd like to see more spins later, let me know in the comments, and hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, you know the usual stuff. You hear it all the time. Like and subscribe. I really like it if you subscribe and share. The likes are nice too. And if you do get the chance, consider dropping $1 on my Patreon and buying me a cup of coffee. That always helps out. I'd like to raise maybe $200 a month on Patreon to go with the additional couple $100 I'm getting from the videos, so I can keep making more videos for you. And of course, let me know what you'd like to see, and I would be happy to accommodate you as best I can. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time on Fast Gadgets.